Hello, this is Trish Garner with the League of Women Voters of Portland, and you are watching the Video Voters Guide or listening to our podcast. We're here today to talk with candidates running in the November 5th, 2024 general election. We're grateful for the support of the Carol and Velma Salling Foundation, the League of Women Voters of Portland Education Fund, the Weiss Foundation, and our media partner, Metro East Community Media. With me today is Joe Meyer, who's running for the United States House of Representatives District 3, which generally covers most of Portland and Multnomah County west of the Willamette River. Welcome, Joe. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for office.
Oh, thanks for having me, Trish. Well, I was born in 1962 in Chicago. I didn't know it at the time. I came out a white male. As a boy, I loved only sports, partly because that's where I was born in Chicago. That's what it was at the time. In school, I was better at math than reading and writing. And so I did study math. I ended up going to DePaul University to study physics. From there, I went on to Brown University, where I got my master's and my PhD in physics. The reason I think that that part of my background is important is because reality matters in science. If you make a measurement, there's no sense falsifying it. If you're going to move forward, you have to start with the truth. And I don't see that happening in our political system today. I see more spin or more hiding the truth. So that's one thing I want to bring from my background in physics, just the importance of the simple truth. After I got my PhD from Brown University, it was 1990, I had a postdoc at Penn State University and then a fellowship to study in Germany, and then another fellowship to continue research in Denmark. And after that, I became a stay-at-home dad. I was a stay-at-home dad from diapers to college for two kids. And the reason I think that's important for my campaign is it just changed my mindset completely. I still remember dropping my son off for kindergarten, and there's absolutely nothing more important in the entire world than people be nice to him. And happily, they were nice to him. And so my development there was when I was a younger man or a scientist, I believed all of our solutions to problems were technical in nature. Oh, we have air pollution. Well, let me build you a better catalytic converter. Oh, we have energy problems. Oh, I know how to make a better solar panel. We can fix everything with technology. Now, I don't think that's true. I think that we have all the solutions we need. It's just that our government is simply not working for us. So I think what I bring to the office, which is probably fairly unique, or maybe unique, is that I have both a PhD in physics and those years and years of those endless days of raising two children, also in a community of other children. My kids had lots of friends, and my goal for the U.S. government is to make it true that every child is our child, no matter if they're in Gaza or New York City or in the Bronx. I'm running for Congress at this time because really I believe there's been a coup in the United States. There's been a coup. Corporate and foreign interests have won, and we the people lost. They have beat us, and they continue to beat us simply by pouring money into our elections. We see that this government is not working in our interests when we look at 500,000 of our own citizens sleeping on the street. We see 16% of our children living in poverty. Since Reagan in 1980, which was the first time I could vote, $50 trillion have been transferred from the lower class up to the 1%. I believe there's been a coup in this country because this country doesn't care about our Constitution. Our First Amendment rights are crushed on campuses. FISA 702 takes away our privacy rights. And reporters and journalists are persecuted for reporting on regime crimes. This regime is also complicit in genocide. They sent over $250 billion to Israel, and they continually veto peace. And we get back images of torn children, massacres, and killing of journalists and medical care workers. And our leaders deny reality and continue to send more bombs. Well, that was a long answer. I don't know if you have a question for me at this point.
Well, you're listening to the Video Voters Guide interview and podcast of Joe Meyer, who's running for the United States House of Representatives District 3. What role do you believe Congress should play in increasing the supply of housing in America? Please explain.
Well, I think housing is a human right, and I think it is the federal government's purview. I go back to the Declaration of Independence. That's what we fought for, after all. Like I said in my earlier answer, the Constitution seems to be malleable. We have these other rights, and they're taken away. The rights we fought for, the rights we took up arms for, is the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And you can't do that if you're not housed. I think the federal government absolutely has a role to play in housing. I think the federal government ought to build social housing. I think the federal government ought to implement universal basic income so that everyone on the street, everyone approaching poverty has a baseline of support, whether it's $1,000 a month or whatever it is. And that way, cities and counties can take that money and help people. So I think the federal government wants to be small. The federal government wants to be small with the first responsibility of the individual citizen. The best way to do that, I believe, is universal basic income that gives the states and counties and cities the resources they need to house people.
We're running a little bit out of time, but what legislation, if any, would you support to address the issue of climate change?
Well, climate change is a huge thing, and my first theory of government is do no harm. We're still continually subsidizing fossil fuels. That's where we have to say no. We have to say no to these endless wars. I think the US military is the third largest polluter in the world. So we want to take the money that we're now giving to fossil fuels and put that into renewable energies. There's a University of Stanford study that shows it would cost $1.7 trillion to build enough solar panels to power the entire US. That sounds like a lot of money, and it's less than 2 years of military budget.
Again, we're really racing to the end here. What role do you believe Congress should play in addressing income inequality in America?
Well, there are these two neural problems that's causing our society to spiral downward. The first one is power corrupts, and the second one is poverty traumatizes. The solution then is obvious. We need to simply tax the rich, perhaps a wealth tax, and implement a universal basic income to lift people out of poverty and get people off the street.
Thank you, Joe Meyer. This concludes our video voters guide and podcast interview of the League of Women Voters of Portland of Joe Meyer, who's running for the United States House of Representatives, District 3. Remember, Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. Be sure to inform yourself about the candidates and exercise your right to vote. Thank you for your interest.